What's going on, everybody? This is Steven Field coming back at you with another episode of Sports Talk. Sorry it's been a couple of weeks, guys. Life's been kind of getting in the way as of late, so sorry this is taking a while to come to you. I've missed the last couple of weeks of NFL football. Just kind of looking back through the last 3 weeks of games. We're really starting to take center stage of who the real title contenders are, and then who the playoff teams are who might be able to take kind of their pound of flesh, so to speak. And then those teams who are maybe make the playoffs by default just because they're either in a weak division or the opposition's just a little weaker than we first expected. Or you're going to get those teams that are just kind of, you know what, we're going to start building up for next season. So when I think of the serious title contenders, I think of Kansas City, I think of Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, Seattle. And really after those 5 or 6 teams, it's really up in the air. I'd like to say that Green Bay is a heavy title contender, but I don't like what I've seen from their offensive line, especially with the possible loss of David Bakhtiari. We'll see how that goes, guys. Out of those 5 or 6 teams, I'd say my 2 definitive favorites are Kansas City and Seattle. And don't be a bit surprised if those are the 2 teams representing in the Super Bowl this coming year. Beyond that, there's so many teams in the middle of the pack that could be potential playoff contenders, but we don't quite know because just about every team has at least one flaw that could potentially derail them at the end. So it'll be very, very interesting to see who actually comes out on top this year, because I think this is really the first time that, at least as far as I can remember, that every single team, even the potential Super Bowl contenders, have flaws. I know everybody's high on Kansas City. I think we're finally starting to get the blueprint that in order to beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, you have to make Patrick Mahomes feel uncomfortable from the start. And if you don't, he's just going to run roughshod, and it's going to be a rough night for the defense. So, we'll see how that goes. And I'm here to bring you your week 7 predictions and kind of give a little bit of a synopsis. To recap last night's Giants-Eagles Thursday night game. The Eagles showed us a glimpse of what they could be when healthy. Carson Wentz finally started showing us what he can be, and hopefully this will be the start of him getting back to that 2017 MVP candidate that he once was. It sucks. They lost to Deshaun Jackson the same game that he comes back. I almost feel for the Giants, because just when it feels like the Giants are on the brink of being relevant again and getting a big divisional win, it's kind of like that 80-yard run by Daniel Jones where he falls down at the 10-yard line almost kind of encapsulates the Giants season in one play. It came down to the wire. Carson Wentz delivered back-to-back touchdown drives. The Eagles were down by 11 with 5 minutes to go, and the Eagles didn't quit. Carson Wentz rolled them down the field, 2 straight touchdown drives. The defense made the strip sack at the end to seal the deal. So hopefully that'll be a sign of things to come for the Eagles. So moving on to the Sunday games, Pittsburgh, Tennessee. This one's really up in the air. You got 2 of the 3 undefeated teams left in the league going at it. You got probably one of the 2 or 3, number 1 rush attacks against the number 1 rush defense in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's finally back at the defensive promise that they were with Dick LeBeau. T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree, Sylvester Williams. Obviously, the addition of Minkah Fitzpatrick has proven to be really a true treasure for this young defense. It seems like they're getting better as the weeks go on. They're number 1 or number 2 against the rush. They're in the top 5 against the pass. So it's like this. Not only is this defense going to shut down your run game, but the minute you start letting your quarterback hang back in the pocket and start throwing the ball all over the lot, then this team can get after you. They're number 1 in sacks. So like I said, this is a game that could really go up in the air. I'm curious to see how tough and physical this Pittsburgh defense really is, because they're going up against probably the most physical running back in the league in Derrick Henry. So I think this will be one of like the first true tests that this Pittsburgh defense has faced. And right now, I'm a little bit torn, but I'm going to say Pittsburgh wins a nail biter, 27-24. Cleveland, Cincinnati, and I remember back in the old days when this used to be one of the most exciting games there, the Battle of Ohio. And now you're kind of like, oh, it's the Battle of Ohio again. Because, Cincinnati's not quite there yet. They're a young team building around Joe Burrow. And then with Cleveland, you never know what you're going to get. You get a really talented team who can never seem to get out of their own way, basically. So I'm actually going to say I picked Cincinnati to beat Cleveland the first time around, and I was proven to look like a jackass. But I'm going to stick true again, and I'm going to pick Cincinnati to win at home. And I'm going to say this will be the start of things in Cleveland starting to really unravel. And if this could possibly be the out for Odell Beckham Jr. out of Cleveland, because there's speculations that he's been asking for a trade, or he wants out of Cleveland. And I think that this kind of continues that downward spiral for this team, which is really unfortunate because, like I said, they're loaded with talent. So I'm going to say Cincinnati, Buffalo, and the Jets. And as if this needs any question, really. The Jets are probably the worst team in the league. Everybody's like, oh, they're going to tank for Trevor Lawrence. It's like, honestly, if I were Trevor Lawrence, I would stay in Clemson another year, and hopefully something better comes along, because what's he really going to have if he goes to New York? He's basically just going to be kind of trying to hold that team up with almost nothing to hold up. So I'm going to say Buffalo wins handily against the Jets. Carolina, New Orleans. I think New Orleans. Detroit at Atlanta. This is another one that's a little hard to predict, because obviously, Atlanta is becoming famous for not being able to hold big leads in games. But Detroit seems like they have something there with Matt Patricia, but you don't quite trust it, really. So I'm going to say Atlanta wins at home. I'm going to say Dallas wins at Washington, because, it's if as sad as the NFC East is, and, as depleted as the Cowboys are starting to become, losing Dak against the Giants, this is a game that the Cowboys absolutely have to win to keep in that NFC East race with Philadelphia. And let's be honest, Washington's kind of in a rebuilding phase. They still don't quite know who's going to be their quarterback for the future, so I'm going to say Dallas wins. Green Bay, Houston. Another hard one to predict, because obviously Green Bay coming off that blowout loss at Tampa Bay. Then Houston, Houston doesn't really have a whole lot to offer, really. The only thing holding that team afloat is Deshaun Watson, but he can only hold that team afloat for so long. I'm going to say Green Bay bounces back with a win at Houston, and I think Houston starts rebuilding for next year, and next year we'll see hopefully how good of a team that Houston can be, and hopefully they'll find the right coach to put all the pieces together. The Seattle, Arizona. I think Russell Wilson continues on his role towards his first league MVP award. But Arizona's no joke. Even last year we thought Arizona was going to be the worst team in the league, and Kyler managed to squeeze by a 6-10 record. So I think the addition of DeAndre Hopkins has proven dividends for Kyler. They got young defensive pieces with Simmons, and you still have Chandler Jones. So I think they're a year or two away from really being a heavy postseason contender, but they're definitely on their way. But I think Seattle takes this game, and Russell continues on his role. Chargers, Jaguars. I'll say Chargers. I'll say Justin Herbert gets his first career win. Kansas City at Denver. The only reason I think Denver might have a chance is the fact that this game is in the Mile High City. Because, it's never easy to play in that kind of altitude. Obviously, being a Patriots fan for the last 2 decades, that's the one place I was always fearful of Tom playing at was Denver, because that's one of the 2 places he really struggled at besides Miami. That's the only shot I give Denver at possibly winning a game like this. But I'm going to say Kansas City wins handily. San Francisco, New England. This is a really tough game to call, especially after what I saw last week against the Broncos. I don't know how effective our offense will be against that front rush. Even without Nick Bosa, they still have the solid enough front 7 that they can cause us problems if we try to run the ball. But then again, who knows Jimmy Garoppolo better than Bill Belichick? Who knows Kyle Shanahan better than Bill Belichick? So giving Bill Belichick a week to prepare for ex-players that he knows but just about better than anyone gives me reason to believe. So I'm going to say New England wins a low-scoring, physical, defensive game, 23-17. Tampa Bay, Las Vegas. I'm going to say Tampa Bay wins, and I think Tampa Bay continues on their path to the division title, and Tom will continue to show that he's still one of the best in the league. And, that defense is getting better and better by the week. And the best part about the defense getting better and by the week is that they're young. You got veterans on that team like JPP and Ndamukong Suh, and then you got the young pieces like Shaquille Barrett, and Jermaine Whitehead, and Antoine Winfield Jr. So their defense is ascending quickly and slowly but surely, and it really goes to show the difference between when you have a defense like this and you play with a quarterback like Jameis Winston, who's so turnover prone that you're constantly putting the defense in harm's way. But then you have a quarterback like Tom Brady, who, yes, he's 43 years old, but he makes very rare mistakes like throwing interceptions and putting the defense in a position to crack. So I think Tampa Bay wins fairly handily in Las Vegas. And then Chicago at the Rams. This one's a little tough to call just because the Bears' offense is kind of, for me, like the Patriots' defense. You never know what you're going to get week to week. And the only thing holding Chicago up in these close nail-biters is their defense, which, it kind of shows that the old saying is true. Defense wins championships. I don't even know if I can really call this one. I guess if you're gonna force me, if you're gonna put a gun to my head and force me to pick one of the 2, I'm gonna say the Rams win a close one. But Chicago is still right in the mix of the NFC North with Green Bay, so I don't think this game's gonna hurt them too much. If anything, this is more so a game that the Rams have to win than a game the Bears have to win. So I'm gonna say the Rams come out on top. I know that's my predictions, guys, for week 7. Sorry this video's a couple weeks in coming. I'll hopefully start being more on time with videos and giving you guys a bit more content to ask for. And thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, share it on social media, whichever platform you can. Get the word out there, get this channel up and going, and thank you guys so very much for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.